Despite cold weather, the coronavirus outbreak and a crackdown by the police, these farmers are here to stay. They've come from many different parts of the country to take part in a sit-in protest in New Delhi, and they say they won't leave until the government repeals 3 new laws that they say threaten their entire way of life.
The farmers of Punjab and other parts of India have come together to protest, and the public of New Delhi are also supporting us. None of us will back off until these farm laws are taken back.
The new laws change the way wholesale markets operate, and officials say they'll end the dominance of middlemen at state-controlled markets. All transactions will be based on written contracts, which could leave many illiterate farmers at a disadvantage. And the government's allowing the private sector to build silos and grain storages to be able to stock up on agricultural products. But the vast majority of India's farmers own less than 2 hectares of land and have so little bargaining power that they consider the middlemen essential.
Similar rules were implemented in Bihar in 2006, and look at their condition now. Landholders who used to own 10 acres of land are working as daily wage labourers in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. They are turning us into daily wage labour.
The government insists the changes will make the industry more efficient and attract increased investment, but farmers worry they'll be forced off their land.
He's not just a middleman. The commission from crop sales is the only money they make. Unlike others who mow these bringing, he wants to control all the food commodities in the country.
On Thursday, talks were held between protesters and government officials, but ended without any deal. The government assured farmers it will protect them through guaranteed prices and subsidies on fertilizer, but it says it will not repeal the new laws. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, for more on this, Sunil Poshakwale joins us now from Birmingham. He's Professor of International Finance at the Cranfield School of Management. Welcome back to the program, Professor. Now, about 58% of India's 1.3 billion people relies on the agricultural sector to make a living. So why then would Prime Minister Narendra Modi risk losing their support over these farm reforms? Are they actually needed?
Well, let me put the first few facts about India's agriculture sector, because it's very important to put that into perspective. Now, while the rest of the India is connected globally, unfortunately, Indian farmers have until now have been restricted to sell their produce only in the local market yards. Now, despite being one of the largest producers of agriculture commodities globally, India currently processes only 10% of its agriculture produce and exports globally. Its a share in the export market is only 2.3%, which is well below its potential. The current system was that it was being controlled by the middlemen. And what that did is that they charged commission, they charged taxes, they only paid the prices that maximized their own profits rather than the farmers' profits. And the farmers were heavily dependent on selling their produce only in these local market yards. Now, the new law is actually very much needed, because the old system that was developed, or the regulations that were developed, was very much based on when India was an agriculturally deficient economy. In other words, we used to import agriculture products from outside to be able to feed our people. Things have moved on. India has become an agriculture surplus country now. And therefore, a new system is required which helps farmers to realize the best prices for their produce and to give them access, an open access, whereby they could actually directly get in contracts with food processing companies, so that they could decide, they would have the choice whether they wanted to sell their produce locally or they wanted to sell their produce to a food processing company if they offered them better prices, or if they wanted to sell their produce elsewhere in India. So this one nation, one market policy that the government has launched is very much needed, is very much need of the hour.
Okay, but farmers say these laws could pave the way for the government to stop buying their crops at guaranteed prices under the so-called minimum support prices scheme. This would then leave them at the mercy of private buyers who might then demand even lower prices. Should farmers be worried about this?
No, they shouldn't, because there is a lot of misinformation being spread and circulating in the media, unfortunately. If you read the regulation carefully, the government has guaranteed it. They have not removed the minimum support prices at all. There is support to the farmers in terms of the minimum support prices that they would be able to realize. Government itself has been buying a lot of agriculture commodities and products from farmers. In fact, the government buying program has gone up by over 250% compared to the previous government. So there is a lot of misinformation that is spreading. I think the current system was completely outdated. The other problem, of course, the agriculture sector faced was that nearly $9 billion worth of agriculture produce would perish annually because of the poor storage system. India does not have enough cold storage facilities for farmers to store their produce, and they would simply lose that money. And now what the government is trying to do is they have set up a $10 billion worth of agriculture fund, and they are going to invest this money into improving the infrastructure for the farmers. But unfortunately, the vested interests have actually created this, protests. And the other thing to bear in mind is that Punjab is not the largest agriculture producing state anymore. There are other states which are now producing a lot more than Punjab, but the protests are only concentrated in Punjab and being a lot of being sensationalized. This matter is being sensationalized only in Punjab.
Okay, Professor, I'm so sorry to interrupt there, but we will have to leave it there for now. We also understand that representatives from the farmers are due to meet with government representatives for the 4th time, so we'll see how those talks go. But Sunil Poshakwale, thank you again for joining us from Birmingham.